Welcome back to MotorHead Garage. Well, you know, engine building, something that goes on all over the place. When you're building an engine, you do a lot of measuring. You got bore gauges, you got your dial indicators, your depth gauges. But you know, the heart of the engine, the valve train, when you're talking camshafts and springs, you need a way to measure them and measure them right. You might have a cam card, but how do you know that that cam is exactly what the car is going to say? If you're a serious engine builder and you're putting together some expensive engines, you need a way to check it. We got it right over here. This is Kevin Gertgen. Kevin, Performance Trends builds all this kind of great stuff. Tell me what you got here.
Okay, what we got is our cam test stand. You got a couple of real precise sensors. This thing's good for about 4/100ths of a thousandth of an inch, just about 4/100ths of a degree resolution. And what you do is you just, like most things nowadays, you connect it to a computer and you pull the measurements in, you rotate the cam. We can rotate it by hand. We go for 400 degrees of rotation, so we get a little bit of overlap.
Okay.
And the computer will measure everything and show you what you get. And what we got here is we got the center line and the duration, opening, closing events, lobe area, and acceleration rates and such.
So we can tell pretty much what we've got for a camshaft. And this is great to tell if a cam is indexed right, or if a cam's got twist in it.
Correct.
Anything like that.
You can see if all the lobes are what they're supposed to be, duration at 50, 100 thousandths, 200 thousandths, lobe separation, the whole thing.
That's awesome, and measures it real accurately. Of course, we got it on a nice platform here. That's a nice table to keep it good and steady.
Yep.
So now, we open and close the valves. We open them with the camshaft, and we close them with the springs.
Yep.
So springs are real critical. You know, you get a weak valve spring, you're talking about you can lose some power.
Absolutely.
And of course, we all have the old spring tester. Tell us how this thing works.
What we got here is our valve spring tester. This is our pneumatic, automatic ones. We got manual ones. And you can hear it's pneumatic. And what we're doing here is the big drag race guys, they need a lot of force. They're running spring race. They're huge. And this thing can go up to 2,500 pounds if we need to.
Wow.
So right now what we're doing is we're bullnosing the spring, which is compressing in the bind 3 times. You can do different. But it gives a little bit more repeatable result if you bullnose it a few times, and then it's going to do the actual test.
That gives us the spring rate and the pressure and that kind of stuff?
Correct. The seated force, the open force, the spring rate, and you can say, give me what force at a certain height. So if you want to find your correct shims, stuff like that.
That's awesome. And of course, they got stuff here for testing on the bench, but also they got some really neat equipment. If you drive the car in and you want to check it right there, Dave's going to show us that.
All right, now, folks, Sam and Kevin have been showing you how an engine builder can check the cam on the bench, and every good engine builder wants to do that so they know exactly what they have. But what happens when you have the cam in the engine? How do you know what you got a lot of times, or how you know how it's performing? Well, Performance Trends has come up with an electronic cam checker, and this is what it is. And Kevin, this is pretty cool. You don't have to pull a motor apart or nothing to check it. Show me what you have.
You don't have to put a degree wheel on or anything. How we're figuring out degrees in TDC is with a cylinder pressure sensor right on number 1 cylinder, and you crank it over. We got a couple of lift sensors here on the retainers, and we have a rotary sensor you can mount anywhere on the engine, the front end of the engine. And it's self-calibrating because if you know TDC, and you know TDC again, when you see it 720 degrees later, you know how this thing is calibrated, and the microprocessor does all that.
So you can actually check lobe centers and everything on this.
Yep.
All right, so Sam, crank it over. Okay, Kevin, now let's see what we got on here. What did it read?
Okay, what we got here is the first number that comes up and is the intake center line. Then we go to our exhaust center line. Then we go to the more details here, and you can see here what we got is, again, the center lines and duration at 50. You can select if you want duration at 100 or 200, something different. You got the max lift, that's tappet lift. And we got the opening and closing events and the rated lift there. Again, it was 50 thou we selected for this test. And we got the rocker ratio and lash we're assuming for this thing so we can get back to what was happening on the tappet.
So this is giving you all kind of information on there. You can see exactly what this cam is. This is great for sanctioning bodies who have a spec cam and they want to check to see if a guy's cheating. This is a quick way to do it. Here's something else that Kevin brought along. This is an electronic valve spring checker. This is really cool. I like this. A lot of the drag racers will use this, Kevin.
And what we're doing here is most valve spring checkers want the human to feel when the valve becomes unseated. But what we're doing is we're making the machine do it for you. So the idea is it takes the human element out so that Dave or Sam or myself would all get the same number, no matter who does it and how they do it.
This is really a neat piece. And for you drag racers out there, I know you guys go through the valves every run. this is a fast and easy way to do it. Ooh, I like playing with this electronic stuff. Folks, we got some really cool toys here, but you know, once again, we've run out of time, Sam.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week, but this is really awesome.
I think we're gonna keep this.
Let me do this. I was
All right,
watching
go
you
ahead,
do that.
you try it. You
It
can't
says
go-
calculated.
Yeah, calculated.
And the trick is not to go too far.
Here, let me, okay, now try it.